What's up, gamers? Today, today we're gonna be talking about compulsive phone usage. Like, whenever you go on your phone and you're like, you don't even want to be going on your phone, but you're like, you know what, I'm a gamer. I need to be going on my phone because I'm a gamer. Anyways, welcome to the stream, everybody. Today, this future professional mental health person is going to be, no, don't unsubscribe. You gotta be part of the gamer nation. Why don't you want to be part of the gamer nation? But essentially, I'm coming to beat you up. Oh my god, why is my camera like that? What? That's crazy. I see we got a bunch of non-gamers. We gotta kill them. And now I just died. Anyway. So today we're taking a question. So like, it wasn't an exact question. Like, I don't have anything to like put on screen, TBH, but like, it was like a general question. It's like, okay, so like when I go to bed, whenever I go to bed at night, I'm supposed to be going to bed at this time, but then I lay down and then I like compulsively go on my phone because like I like need to like quote unquote take time back in my day. Like in the sense that like, you know how like, I'm sure people have felt, I'm sure like this is actually like, I feel like a very, very relatable problem, where like someone will like, we'll kind of be at the end of our day and we'll kind of like look back on it and we won't be really fulfilled with like the way that the day was spent. Not that it's like our choice or not. It's just like, if we don't like our, the Dr. Kate, yes. So like, if we got big chat, gang. Good. So to restate the question, we got a question today. So it's like, if I go on my phone compulsively at the end of the day because I need to quote unquote take time back in my day, then what are the mechanisms of that? So like, I feel like this is actually like a very relatable and increasingly common problem. So like, if we don't, so like for instance, just to like illustrate a picture. So like, if we don't like our job, how prone are we then to like sunken cost bias, to sunken cost fallacying ourselves into like, I should probably actually put the sound on for y'all. So like, if we have a job we don't like, how likely do you think we are at the end of the day to engage in like dopaminergic activities in order to like sunken cost fallacy make up for the day? Because like, at least if I do something that's very high dopamine, then like at least today wasn't just like, stress and pain or what, or like unfulfillment or whatever. And then like you can kind of get to the end of the day and it feels like at least you like got something out of it. It's almost like getting dopamine out of spite to a degree. I use my phone compulsively. I'm trying to start meditating, but it's so fucking difficult when I have my phone around. Meditation feels so uncomfortable. Yeah, so like, I actually, if you don't mind, like later after I'm done with this question, it might take a while, but like, you can always watch the VOD if I don't get to it in time. But like, I'd be happy to like talk about that later. I think that's like a super interesting thing. But that's like exactly what I mean. Like, a lot of people relate to this sort of stuff. Like, it's like, this isn't just like a you problem. Like, everyone, like, we are increasingly going on our phones more and then being like, why don't I just stop using my phone? But like, the thing is that like, there's an internal logic to it. That's why it's such a common problem. Irrationality is not growing in the world. Like, everything we do has some sort of like, base rationale to it. So like, so firstly, I'd like to start off with a classic, something that I say all the time that people are probably annoyed of by now, but I only say it because I do think it's genuinely that important. We should, first off, understand the emotion that is coming to the surface. So like whether or not it's so like I get that we understand the general sentiment of the emotion. The person who submitted this question even understood a base level, like, yeah, I'm doing it because like I don't feel fulfilled in my job. And so like I feel like all I do is work, and so I need to like take back time in my day, which is a very like emotionally intelligent answer. But I think the first step is to like go even deeper into this. So like for instance, like are you feeling like regret? Like, do you regret the way that you handle the day? Do you feel trapped? Like, do you feel, and like this is very important because we need to understand the mechanization of your compulsion. So like what I mean by that is like it's not enough to just be like we should just stop a behavior. It should like we need to understand exactly why we do it, because the specifics of the emotion matter because they determine like if I feel, you know, hungry, then I'm going to respond in a different way than if I felt like, then the solution to hunger is different than like the solution to being like thirsty. So it's not enough to just be like, I need to consume something. We need to understand the exact emotions so we can like have a good, like a good understanding of where to proceed from there. So, and then additionally, we need to understand what does the behavior do to the emotion. So like, for instance, like if I'm, so like, if I have low self-esteem and then I engage in a behavior that like is like that where like I go on social media and I see how much people are putting someone down for a specific trait of theirs, that is very that activates my ego, and it makes me feel like, and it makes my ego defense mechanism feel more vindicated, because then it's like, oh, okay, I was feeling bad about myself. Now my energy is pointing to why this other person is actually even more messed up than I am. So like that, so in that exact same way, like it's not enough to be like, this is why people don't fix their problems when they oversimplify them. But so like people will be like, why do you go on your phone? And it's like, because I'm bored. And then it's just like, okay, that's not really productive. Because then it's like, okay, why don't you do something else entertaining? And it's like, I don't really know. I don't really feel like it. It's like the reason why your phone is addicting is because when you understand like the mechanism of like the ego, you understand why it's so fun to watch like people get wrecked in debates and stuff like that. And so first off, really analyze what you're feeling and think to yourself, like, do I feel ashamed? Do I feel like sad because I'm trapped in this like job that I don't enjoy? Do I, and then like even beyond that, it's like, if you can change your circumstances, then like, do I feel shame for not having changed them sooner? And if you can't change your circumstances, then are you even more existentially feeling trapped because like you can't change the thing? So like confronting that makes you feel really uncomfortable. And so through this awareness on a deep level, we're able to understand the behavior. And so when the behavior comes up, instead of just saying like, oh, well, you know, can't really do anything about it, understand like, okay, so when I feel trapped in my job, it manifests in this behavior. And so instead of it just being this automatic thing that's just like a Pavlov sort of situation of like, when I feel this, I have to do this, understand like, okay, I'm about to engage in this behavior, and that is subtly for the sake of dealing with this emotion that has been brought up. Do I think it is worth it? Like do I think it is worth it to cope with this behavior in this way? Because it's gonna and notice how you feel throughout it. So like when you go on your phone, think about it the entire time. So think about like, okay, How much fun am I having now? How much has the feeling gone away of feeling like I've lost the time and everything like that? And then continuously understand that and then reflect on it afterwards and say, was that a good use of my time? Am I glad that that's the way that I spent that time? Was like moving away from that emotion through coping through like going on my phone. Because like I'm not like, it might sound like because I'm using certain language that I'm implying that that's not the right thing to do. But like actually like I don't think it is. Like I can't make a decision for like how like I can't make a decision of whether or not you should cope with behaviors in a specific way. I can have my own opinions on it, but like ultimately you just need to decide what decisions you want to make in life. And the only path that I think is just straight up unoptimal when it comes to mental health is like not having awareness and control. As long as you're like aware of what you're doing and like granted, some people will be like, no, I'm okay that I do this thing, and it'll be like a thing that is just dealing with cognitive dissonance because like they don't want to deal with the shame of admitting that they're kind of out of control. Like stuff, it's just very, there's a lot of caveats to it. Like there's a lot of important little details. Let me read these comments super quick. I think phone is sort of a stress release people has with difficulties. As if you hate your job, like Mark says, religion is the opium of the working class. We can know the same analogy for the phone. It's our new opium to deal with capitalism. It has a lot to do with environment and environments who bring a certain emotion. Self-awareness is harder than reminders. It requires spare time and a reason. It requires spare time and a reason to do it. Something many people lack. And I did. Most people lack this. It has been like this for centuries of mankind. So like let's get even deeper. So like even with the idea that it's like okay, there's like a stress relief from it and stuff like I wouldn't even say that it like I wouldn't say that it's a stress release. I would say that it's a stress relief. Because like you're not actually dealing with the underlying stress. Like I've never heard of someone going off their phone after binging social media for like an hour and be like, oh man, I feel so refreshed and ready to take on the day. Like I'm like, not like, I've never heard someone say that. No one's ever like gone off their phone after they've been on social media and like they feel like the same feeling as if like you just like got out of a hot tub where you're like, oh my gosh, I feel so relaxed now. It's literally just a distraction. What you're doing is like you're taking out a loan on like on your emotions. So you're like, hey, in exchange for me not having to cope with this stress now, I'm gonna just feel it later. Like I refuse to deal with this emotion in the present. And so that's kind of why we compulsively go on our phone. And like, you guys can even do this as a self-experiment. So like next time you feel a negative emotion or an uncomfortable emotion, notice how your mind instinctually gravitates towards grabbing your phone. Like literally like notice this when it happens. Like it's so automatic that like, it's crazy. I still notice it in myself. Like I still notice that like whenever I feel very intensely negative emotions, my first instinct is to distract myself. But the reason I've stopped doing that is because I maintain awareness through the distraction. And what I mean by this is, so like, for instance, like if I'm feeling ashamed, I will notice when I go on my phone that when I feel that I will look at posts that are making fun of people, and there will be something about that that's very like vindicating for my ego. Like I'll feel very like satisfied that like it's like, oh yeah, now I don't have to think about how much I don't like myself. Now I can focus on how this other person is incorrect and doing wrong things with their life. And then I notice like, how do I feel before I go on my phone? How do I feel during it? And how do I feel after? And like, I realized that the way I feel is on balance infinitely worse on my phone than if I just sat there with the emotions. Like, I'm a really good example. I had like a really bad day. I had a really, really bad day yesterday. And like, I actually didn't go on social media at all. The reason that I'm feeling a lot better today is actually because I didn't allow the cycle to perpetuate because of social media. So like, I'm not kidding. Literally what I did yesterday when I was feeling overwhelming negative emotions is I literally just like laid down with no stimulation. And I just like noticed my thoughts as they came. And I just dissected them like I was my own therapist. I'm just like, oh yeah, I'm noticing I'm feeling a lot of like ego and shame. I'm feeling a lot of like ego and shame. So like, where does that come from? When's the last time I felt like that? Oh, okay. What does this do for me? What does my mind want to do in response to this emotion is a very important one. Like all this sort of stuff. And like, because I allowed it to decompress, I noticed that like when I maintain awareness of how I feel before, during, and after I use social media, it allows me to get control of like, okay, if I do social media, then I'm going to feel this emotion. If I don't do social media, this is the result. If I do go on social media, then I am bringing you chicken nuggies a beat. Thank you, homie. See, this is what homies are for. But I noticed like, okay, like when I go on social media, when I actually have awareness and I don't let myself become in like a zombie-like state, I understand that like, okay, actually, when I go on social media, it actually doesn't make me feel better. In fact, the stress is still subtly there. Like, it doesn't like go away. It still like hangs around and like waits for me to get done. And then, like, the stress is there anyways. And the reason sometimes we go on our phones in order to do that is because we've been repressing emotions all day or suppressing them. And then when we get to the end of the day, all those emotions, because sleeping requires silence to a degree, or like us to empty our mind, it creates a vacuum for all the negative emotions to come flooding in. And this is why people often tend to go on their phone and like they will not be able to fall asleep until a moment of like pure exhaustion. And I used to be like this all the time. I would not be able to sleep unless I was not tired, exhausted. And like, it's like, why did that happen? Because I spent all day trying to keep specific emotions at bay by going on social media and distracting myself from them. Because I felt a lot of shame. I felt a lot of inherent dissatisfaction with the way I was living my life, and then shame based on the way that I didn't change it. And then when I would try and sleep when I wasn't that tired, when I was just a little bit tired, it'd be really hard for me to sleep because I wouldn't be able to tolerate the negative emotions, because clearly I was running away from them all day. So like, of course I'm not gonna feel like well equipped to deal with that. And so like a very simple solution to this is like that might be applicable, but like don't take it as my final word. It's just like sometimes this just helps with people, is just like simply carve out, like, I'm not even kidding, just like 5 minutes in the day, and people who are perfectionists are going to be very, and people who have a lot of issues related to like shame of their time management, this is going to be really hard for them to do. But legitimately, like, carve out a time in your day, the longer the better, but at least just set a timer for 5 minutes and don't do anything. Don't listen to music, don't watch a show, don't like have stimulation of any kind. Just like stare at a wall, stare into the distance. Go, if you want something a little bit more stimulating, go on a walk, but just don't listen to anything. Like, don't bring music or anything. Obviously, keep your phone around for safety reasons. But like, the more empty space you create in your day, the more amount of room your emotions are going to have to come to the surface. And the beautiful thing is that, like, the reasons your emotions feel like you have to distract yourself from them is because distracting from them and pushing them down actually makes them endless. What makes emotions actually ultimately go away is allowing them to come up. Like, when you allow your emotions to surface, it actually creates a when you allow your emotions to surface, it actually creates a relief from them. You're gonna, now, don't get me wrong, you're still going to feel the emotions, and they're going to feel predominantly negative. But what you're doing is you're essentially just prolonging the inevitable when you distract yourself. Not do anything for 5 minutes. That's a good start. I think I could do. Great. Yeah. No, perfect. Like, the longer the better. But like, people often with their perfectionist mindsets are like, well, if I can only do this thing for 5 minutes, then I might as well not even do it. Because their mind calculates how painful it's going to be versus how much actual work is going to be done. And they determine that it's not worth it. I have seen absolutely transformative mental health results from simply just setting a timer and allowing your emotions to decompress and come up for 5 minutes. Because if you allow those emotions to fester under the surface, then think about it. If you distract yourself with other behaviors, then you are actually being subtly controlled by the, because when you have to move away from specific emotions, you are at the mercy of behaviors that take away emotions. So like, people always suppress their emotions and say like, what? I don't see what the big deal is. Why wouldn't I just suppress my emotions? It makes them go away for a time being. And then, you know, this will result in them doing things like not doing shit that they need to be doing. And then they're like, I don't get it. How come just because I suppress my emotions, I don't do like the stuff in life that I like really should, like I really ought to be doing? And like, the answer to that is because your mind, when it decides that suppressing emotions is a good idea, will come to a simple conclusion. It's like, okay, so suppressing emotions is more important than doing things we need to do. And because your phone suppresses emotions easily, of course you're going to go on your phone, because you're going to do anything you can to get away from this emotional state. That's related to meditation. That is crazy. I know we already know the answers for centuries and still face the same issue. Yeah, because like, they're not easy. Like, they require a lot of accepting the negative emotions that are in our way. Something I want to do one day is go an entire day without my phone. Yeah, like I think that like, so like, I literally go to like the Virgin bottle, like, all of the chat staring at a wall for seriously, I'm not even kidding. Because like, think about it. Like, if you compulsively avoid your emotions, then it implies that those emotions then have power over you, because you will do anything to avoid them. But if you're, but like, you know what the ultimate Chad move actually is? The ultimate Chad move is saying like, hey, emotions, I know you're going to be negative, and I know you're going to try and get me to like suppress you, but actually you can fucking do what you want. Like, I don't care. Just like, come up and like, you basically like open your arms and you say like, come and get me, emotions. It's fine. Like you weren't going to go away anyways. So let's just have like a let's get this over with mentality with your emotions. Just be like, just sit there and you will be shocked how much more control you have in your day. Because not only are you suppressing your emotions that are there, you are actually increasing your tolerance for negative emotions for future days. So like, the more the better. Ideally, you'd want to get to a time, and this sounds crazy, but like as someone who also used to think this was crazy, I also I do things that are close to this sometimes. Like I'd say that like even an hour a day is more possible for people than they like might think, because they might think to themselves like, okay, well, like I barely do anything as it is, so I don't have time to be wasting on doing nothing, you know, like, which makes sense. It's like, okay, I already waste a lot of time. Why would I intentionally waste time? Shouldn't I at least be trying to move towards doing stuff? But that's the beautiful thing. When you get comfortable with sitting still and doing nothing, it paradoxically increases your ability to create output. I gotta go right now, but thanks for the chat. I'm gonna try stay 5 minutes doing absolutely nothing. Yes, all right, good. We got a doing nothing for 5 minutes Chad in chat. All right, let's go. All right, so I wish you luck. It's probably not gonna be easy. It's probably gonna be way harder than you think, but like I wish you luck. Tell me how it goes next time you're in chat. That's awesome. So like as I was saying, like when you bottle up emotions, like what you do, like what you do in life is determined by what will suppress your emotions the most. This is why people who can't tolerate the release of their emotions tend to do nothing all day. People who invalidate, intolerate, whatever you want to call it, all they do is sit around on their phones or do things like go on social media or play video games or all this kind of stuff, because what they gravitate towards is what's going to assist in the suppression of the emotions. But like unsuppressing emotions is important, because then if you don't have to run away from your emotions, then all of a sudden your behavior doesn't have to be controlled by whatever will suppress your emotions the easiest. So like, so yeah, like, what am I trying to say? Let me just collect my thoughts because I've been rambling for a little bit. So like the next thing, so main thing I want you to do besides the 5 minutes a day is like, I want you to understand, I want you to maintain awareness when you're on your phone at night. And then, I want you to maintain awareness when you're on your phone at night. And then additionally, I want you to then next time you're on your phone, I want you to play the tape through to the end. This is a technique that I love from Dr. K and I find so unbelievably useful. So like basically think about literally like the cause and effect, because like I want you to go on social media intentionally. If you do, I want you to use your phone intentionally. So like, I want you to think about, okay, how much dopamine am I getting? How much is this succeeding at distracting me from my emotions? What is my mood throughout this entire thing? That's a hugely important thing to acknowledge. Like, is my mood getting better as I stay? Am I more fulfilled the longer I stay on my phone? And like, is it successfully making the emotions go away? All this sort of stuff. And then next time you go on your phone, play the tape. Don't just go on the phone as an automatic thing. Stop yourself and think about how are you gonna feel based on the last time you went on your phone? How am I gonna feel in 5 minutes? How am I gonna feel an hour from now? How am I going to feel 2 hours from now? And like, think about literally like the amount of happiness you're getting. Think of it, not the avoidance of sadness, the happiness in life that you are getting versus if you went to bed. And then I'm not asking you to even stop using your phone. What I'm asking you to do is do it with full intentionality. So understand, like, okay, if I go on my phone, this emotion will get stronger, this emotion will get weaker. I will feel like this at this many minutes in. I will feel like this many minutes in, and that is compared to if I went to bed, where tomorrow I'd be able to do this. I'd wake up and I'd feel like this. Think of, like, just compare how future you is gonna feel, and then just make the intentional decision. Because what I don't think you should be doing is just doing this automatic zombie-like process of being like, well, I guess I should go on my phone because I fucking hate going to work and like I didn't get to do everything I wanted to do today. But think about like, okay, is the distraction that present Nick is going to feel worth the distraction? So like, that's what I mean. So like, this is the thing, right? So like, when you go on your phone, this is the, sorry, I'm like getting in the zone. Not with the game, unfortunately, because I just died. Like, here's the thing. So like, when you go on your phone, there's going to be a release of emotion. There's going to be, not a release, no. See, I'm even stumbling on my words. There's going to be a relief of emotions to some degree because it's going to kind of numb you. And so then you need to decide, right? You need to decide, like, okay, present me is going to do this, and this is going to have an effect on future me. And this is kind of weird. This kind of sounds like, well, duh, idiot. Like, I know that you understand this logically, but this is the thing that's super important. Oftentimes, the way we screw ourselves in life is that I'm like, okay, like, present Dylan needs to do this thing. Like, present Dylan needs to, like, I have this emotional need, and so this is how I'm gonna fulfill it, and that's all my mind goes to. And then future Dylan is saddled with the mistakes of past Dylan, and then it creates this cycle where, like, of course it leads to things like self-loathing, because, like, then I'm like, damn it, past Dylan, why are you so stupid? Why'd you do that? And then, like, and then now I'm like, oh, well, since past Dylan messed up, I gotta make up for it by engaging in blank dopaminergic activity. Like, I gotta do it by doing blank dopaminergic activity. And then that screws future Dylan. And then it creates this infinite cycle. This is the problem with not doing this technique. It's not enough to simply know that your actions have consequences. You need to make decisions with that context in mind. Past Dylan to future Dylan. Like, that's what I mean. That's like why people in life, this is what creates the quote unquote perceived laziness sort of cycle, where like people who do this will just perceive themselves as incompetent or lazy. But it's not that you're incompetent or lazy. It's just that you have a lack of future orientation. And so whenever you make decisions, it's even okay to make sacrifices for future you, for present you. I'm not saying you always have to do it. I'm saying in general, when you make a decision that's only gonna benefit present you, say, okay, this is gonna screw over future me. Am I willing to take that path? And then when future you gets screwed by it, don't be like, oh, well, why didn't past me do that? You intentionally made the choice. So like, make a decision, like, do I want to live a life that is sowing seeds for my future self? Or do I want to live a life where like present me is always fighting for the most amount of happiness, even if it screws over future versions of myself? Like, I'm once again, like, I'm biased, but like, so like I can't like say what I think is better for you. But like, I found that that like the important thing is this, that like you make your decisions with full intentionality. Don't like go into this zombie like mode that's just like, well, present me needs dopamine. Well, present me needs dopamine. Well, present me needs dopamine. And then future you wakes up tomorrow and like you have to deal with the consequences of your own actions, and then you're like, oh my god, why is my life screwed up? Now I'm tired and I don't, and now I gotta go to work and I'm tired. I have no motivation. My dopamine stores aren't as full because I didn't get enough sleep, so I'm literally unable to even get that much enjoyment out of daily activities because my dopamine is that low. Like, which if you haven't heard of, I can absolutely talk about that. Like, but this is like the consequences that people, this is the, well, consequences are actually like, that's literally what I mean. And so like when you do this sort of stuff, all you got to do is understand, all you got to understand is that like, okay, maintain full awareness. Don't go into autopilot, and understand what is the emotional consequences of this activity on present me, future me, and future me. And then decide like, okay, this is going to be the consequences. Do I want to do this? And then like, what's beautiful is that like when you choose to do things that are kind of self-sacrificial for present you, but are very beneficial for future you, you actually start to form kind of like a teamwork makes the dream work. Like that you gotta have this teamwork makes the dream work sort of relationship with yourself. It's so weird, but like you're kind of like, you kind of wake up and you're kind of like, oh, good job, past me. We did it. Thanks for sending over. It almost feels like you're like, it's like a pen pal with future you, because like you're kind of like, it's kind of like leaving a present at the doorstep of your friend, and then like, you know, they weren't expecting it and then they get it, because like present you is different than future you. Like, you know this because certain versions of you get pleasure from their actions, and then other versions of you have to deal with the consequences of past you. And so it's kind of like, it's really confusing, right? So like literally what I found very helpful is to treat future you as like literally a different person than present you. And like just decide like, okay, this is gonna really help present me, but also I'm gonna kind of hurt future me in doing this. So do I really want to go through with this plan? And like through that sort of mentality, I've actually found that it actually becomes easier to do myself favors that are unpleasant in the present, because then I get so happy the next day that like I'm like, well, I mean, it's like a pay it forward chain at like a fast food place. Like, why do people keep the chain going? Because like, well, like this chain makes people happy. And so like, why would who am I to stop all this nice, this do-gooderness and everything? And in that same way, present you is going to wake up, and then it's instead of like, so right now you've got a cycle of like, past you messes up, and then present you is like, it's not my responsibility to pick up the pieces of past me, so why would I ever help that guy? Past me was like a dick. All he cared about was himself, so all I'm gonna do is care about myself. And the beautiful thing about treating future yous like a different person and then doing nice things for them is that it's like a pay it forward train for yourself. You'll weirdly do self-care activities and it'll be fun, because like you understand that like you're like, okay, like, because you wake up instead of with the negative consequences of past you's actions, you wake up with the fruits of past you's labor. And so then you're kind of like, oh, thank you, past me. Okay, you know what? You know what? What the heck? I'll pay future me with this thing. That'll make them happy. And then like it just creates this beautiful chain of events. And like it sounds overly simplistic, but that like when people start to implement this strategy of awareness of how things affect your emotional state at all times, when you create this awareness of an emotional state, and then once you understand the exact emotional consequences, decide, okay, am I gonna like once you have awareness, you're like, okay, am I gonna do the action that benefits present me or future me more? And right now, you're probably in a chain where you're kind of spiteful of past you, but once you create a paying forward chain with yourself, it actually becomes really easy to get a handle of the situation. Because then you kind of let go of having fun in the present. And instead, what you do is you kind of say like, okay, well, present me isn't going to have as much fun, but it's going to feel really good to do kind of like a good deed for future me. And then like future you has an easier life. Because like, think about it. What's harder to do? Have a day that you're not looking forward to when you got like no sleep the night before, or have a day that you're not looking forward to when you got like a full 8 hours of sleep? It's way easier to tackle the day when you're fully rested. Even though it's still not desirable, nothing you do is going to change the circumstances of the day. You wake up in a reality where you're like, oh, this actually isn't the worst thing ever. Same exact idea when it's like same exact idea when it comes to things like okay, like we think to ourselves like, okay, I have to do the dishes and do my homework. I might as well not even do the dishes, because even when I get done with the dishes, my homework's not going to be done, so my circumstances will not have changed. But think about it. Is it easier to do your homework when you have when your dishes are cleaned, or is it easier to do your homework when your dishes are still dirty? Like, it actually does change your circumstances to do tiny little things for future you, because then your ability to handle these monolithic problems gets a little bit easier the next day. And a huge part of that is getting enough sleep, which is why like I'm unfortunately biased, and I do advocate for like getting more sleep and not giving into like the intolerance of your negative emotions because they're piling up at night. So, to kind of wrap up with this sort of question, so think about, maintain full awareness. So understand, okay, when I go on my phone, it makes me feel this way for this amount of time, and then after this many minutes, I kind of feel like this, and then after this many minutes, it kind of feels like this. Like, there's this whole... like, maintain full awareness of this whole kind of like karmic cycle of like cause and effect, and be like, okay, play this tape forward to the end. So last time I went on my phone, my mood didn't really get much better. I kind of still felt the shame, but like, you know, I felt kind of numb. And then I just like, you know, I kind of felt guilty for staying on my phone, but I was also kind of like, oh, well, there's not really any other way to deal with this. So like, you know, like, not really much I can do about it. And then like, you know, it just creates all these it creates all these sort of emotional consequences that are like it creates all these sort of emotional consequences, yada yada yada. And then like, once you have all the data and you've done a couple sessions where you're fully aware of how doing certain actions emotionally affects you, rather than just giving into them instinctually, like, make that conscious decision for yourself. Like, understand, like, okay, I'm like, make that decision for yourself. Like, be like, okay, so like, if I do this, then I'm gonna feel like this, and then future me is gonna kind of get screwed by this. And like, what happens when I ignore future me? I get in situations like this. And so I think once you frame it like that, life becomes way easier. Life becomes a lot easier because, like, instead of having this automatic autopilot war where, like, you keep going into autopilot because you're suppressing your emotions, and then future you's like, why did you suppress your emotions? Are you stupid? And then, like, you wake up and then life is harder for future you. Instead, I actually think that it's better to maintain full awareness and then make the better long-term decision. Make whatever choice is gonna help you get through the day and, like, cultivate the best life for you for future you. Because then what you weirdly find is that doing good deeds for future you is no longer like this arduous chore of like, why do I have to do good things for them? I don't get anything out of it. They never did anything for me. And it just becomes this cool, like this cute little, like, oh, well, I'm doing my part and I'm helping out future me. And like, and they did something nice for me. So you know what? It's only fair that I do something nice for them. So instead of this, like, cycle of, like, vindictive, like, screwing yourself over passive-aggressively because, like, you're self-loathing because, like, past you didn't give you sleep because he wanted to, like, he didn't give you enough sleep because he wanted to, you know, like, he didn't want to deal with his emotions. And then, oh my gosh, this level's so hard. Because he didn't want to deal with his emotions, then, like, you know, it becomes this, like, great cycle. So maintain awareness, cultivate time in your day where those emotions can be less suppressed. So just, like, do literally nothing so that way your emotions that you've been avoiding can come to the surface and it'll be easier for you to fall asleep. Because, like, I have a feeling that that is a factor. A lot of people who have this sort of problem end up finding that if they do just try and lay in bed and sleep, it's actually really hard for them to, because a lot of these negative emotions start flooding to the surface. And what's convenient about social media is that it can distract us until we go to bed. But then the problem with that is that the next day, the emotions just come back. And they're like, and then that affects how we feel in the next day. So there's never like a day that we suppress our emotions and then we wake up the next day and we're like, oh, thank God, I outlasted my negative emotions and now they're gone. Like, no, like, people know this. Like, there's always a debt to pay for, like, suppressing your emotions. And so I don't know for sure, but I would explore, try and lay in bed and not have any stimulation whatsoever. And then, like, notice what emotions end up coming up throughout the cycle. And I would suspect that there's some negative emotions that instinctually try and pull you towards your phone. And in which case I'd try and slowly extend the amount of time you spend doing literally nothing. And you can go on walks and stuff like that. It's just when you go on walks, don't use your headphones. Don't listen to stuff. Don't do stuff like that. Just spend time with yourself and let those emotions come up and dissect them. And so, yeah. Be mindful, carve out time in the day, understand the emotional consequences of doing things. Don't just fall into autopilot where it's like, oh, well, I might as well. Notice how much happier you become and what your mood is like whenever, like, you get sleep versus you don't get sleep. Because, like, notice how your dopamine stores are, like, less full. So activities in the morning literally become less pleasurable. They literally become less, activities literally become less pleasurable, as you, the less sleep you have. Because your dopamine didn't replenish, so now things are going to feel even worse than they typically did. And then notice how little social media tends to actually make you happy. Like, it might make you distracted and less stressed, but less stressed isn't happy. And so, you know, once you let those emotions come to the surface, they will be temporary. You'll allow them to come out, and then they will control what you do less, which will hopefully allow you to get more sleep and be overall happier in the day. Because paradoxically, if you let go of that, you're going to be, and you get more sleep. Getting more sleep is actually what's going to lead you to resent the job less. Because if you get a full amount of sleep, you'll have fuller dopamine stores, and then when you go to work in the morning, it will be able to reinforce the behavior. So work will become, paradoxically, like somewhat enjoyable. Even though that might seem impossible, because every time you go to work, you're tired, and so you have no dopamine, and so the brain reinforces, like, oh, this isn't a pleasurable activity. But the only reason it thinks it's so unpleasurable is because, like, it didn't have enough dopamine to reinforce that activity. But, like, that's why I get all my work done in the morning, and then why I play at night. Because, like, it's fun to do my work in the morning because it reinforces the activity of work almost like it's a game, because I get enough sleep to reinforce that behavior. It's a lot of cool stuff. I can talk about that type of stuff in a future video. But I hope this was helpful. If there are any, if you're watching and there are any caveats to it, if there are any, like, I get that, buts to it, then I'd love to hear it. I would love to hear it, so that way, because, like, obviously I'm just going off, this is just based off of the question, and I have, like, no other information. So, like, a lot of this could not apply to you, but, like, this is general human psyche stuff that tends to be applicable to, like, pretty much everyone's psyches, because sleep and dopamine work the same in essentially, like, everyone's brains. Actually, I do art for gamers and streamers like VTuber mods. I know, overlay mods. Would you like to? Wait, what? Well, okay. Like, so yeah, like, if you have a, so if you have a question, then, like, if you have a question or a caveat or kind of like I get the logic, but, like, that didn't really resonate with me, or, like, oh, I've actually tried this and the result was this and everything, then absolutely, absolutely reach out to me, or just, like, comment in chat. So yeah, that's kind of my answer for that, just based off of the question, but yeah, cool. If there is no other things to speak about, then I'm kind of done. But I'll wait for any questions for a couple seconds. And then if there's no questions or caveats, then I'll wrap up. Oh my goodness, how did that happen? Oh. All right, well, good time to end this, because I was flubbing right there. All right, well, thanks for joining. I had fun talking about this, and stay